Alright, I don't think I forgot anything. I think I have my final year-end list ready to present to you in my college-ruled composition book, as all the pro metal reviewers on YouTube tend to use. I'm going to run through my least favorite albums of the year, 2 honorable mentions, my favorite split, my favorite EP, my 2 favorite non-metal albums of the year, and then my top 15 albums of the year. So I'm going to try to do that all in one video just so I can knock it out, and let's get the fuck started. If you're wondering why my hair looks weird, it's because I was just wearing a beanie because it is cold as fuck outside. So starting off with the bad shit that came out this year. And for me, the biggest disappointment was Cain Cox's This Is No Fairy Tale. I mean, like, I loved their last, pretty much everything they've done before this album. Where The Corpses Sing Forever was great, Lamentum was fantastic, Death Came Through Phantom Ship was very good. But this album, it just was so silly. It lacked the somewhat cheesy but still kind of cool and spooky atmosphere that previous Cain Cox albums had. The concept was just dumb. And yeah, it was really just a big fucking disappointment. I was not feeling this album at all. And they need to go back to their symphonic black metal roots and just tell some good stories, because this was an absolute fucking cop-out. Insufferum with One Man Army. I saw Insufferum a little bit back this year, and with my friend Cain, who also did this guy. They were really good, but I just did not care for this album. In my opinion, it just overused the keys, and they're just replaying the same war-like themes that they have been, and it just really didn't click with me. And Striborg with This Suffocating Existence. Yeah, just bedroom black metal. I mean, it doesn't even touch the really dark, hazy atmosphere of albums like Negative Emanations, I believe. No. For Perceiving the World with Hate. Oh, what the fuck was the other one called? Southwest Passage. Any of the previous Striborg work, like, it just doesn't even touch that shit. It's super cheap sounding. It doesn't even have the like quirky charm that a lot of one-man black metal bands with this low of production have. It's just a really, really pathetic album in my opinion. My favorite split of the year is going to have to be the split with Bilskirnir and Front Beast. Bilskirnir, fantastic band. Front Beast, really, really cool black metal bands. Bilskirnir being an NS band, but you know, whatever. Really, really cool split, really good mid-paced black metal, and Bilskirnir's really cold, calculated, intense black metal, and on the Front Beast side, a really chaotic track, but still very kind of, you know, has that mid-paced black metal feel that I really like. And yes, for me, this is better than the Black Witchery and Revenge split. Favorite EP of the year is going to have to go to Grimoire. I can't even pronounce the name. But yeah, just really beautiful atmospheric black metal. I'm sure you've all heard it. And my favorite non-metal albums of the year. Bishop's Green, A Chance to Change. Really, really cool, super peppy, catchy oi punk from Canada. And if you like punk music, you'll really dig it. It's a really cool album. And Ulvesang, self-titled, gorgeous neofolk album. If you haven't heard it, you need to go check it out. It is stellar. Alright, composition ruled notebook. On to my top 15 metal albums of the year. Starting off with number 15. No. Honorable mentions of the year. Merker with M. Pretty good album. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot more when I first picked it up, and sort of as time wore on, I got a little bit sick of it. But yeah, it's still a really solid album. Some really solid ideas on this thing. And the new High on Fire, Luminiferous, is really groovy, really catchy, really awesome vocals by Matt Pike. Just some good solid sludge metal. So now we're moving on to my top 15 metal albums of the year. Sorry about that. Number 15, we have Revenge with Behold Total Rejection. Not a whole lot to this album, but that's kind of what makes it great, is just a chaotic punch to the face, and I really dig it. I have not been a huge fan of Revenge in the past, but I think that with this album, their sound has finally started to click with me. I really dig it. Coming in at number 14, we have Meth Witch with the album Rotting Away. And Meth Witch, not as in a meth sandwich, but a meth witch, like an acid witch, but with meth. Their album Rotting Away, really intense, heavy, slam, deathcore type stuff. Not usually my kind of sound, but they really take it seriously. They do a lot more than just the kind of vocals and singing about gore and shit. It's really good. I really enjoyed this album. Some heavy as balls moments on this thing, and if you like slam, then you should definitely check this out. Coming in at number 13, we have Death Hammer with Evil Power. Really good stuff. Fantastic thrash metal. Thrash metal normally isn't my thing, but yeah, they really changed my mind with this album. This thing is killer. They take themselves seriously, and it has some of the best vocals you'll hear this year as far as a thrash type album. It's really good. Coming in at number 12, we have Shape of Despair with the album Monotony Fields. Funeral doom metal. If you're a fan of that style, you'll know Shape of Despair, and yeah, they kill it, man. They bring forth some awesome, ridiculously heavy riffs, some really cool clean vocals, and some really destructive lows. Basically, it's just a great sort of like archetype for funeral doom metal. It's a fantastic album. Coming in at number 11, we have my favorite, probably more sort of intense death metal style album, I guess, even though it's more of a war metal band. It's Diafago with Into the Eye of Satan. I actually much prefer this over Satan Alpha Omega, which I have the poster of right there. But Into the Eye of Satan, to me, is just a little bit better. The production for me is a little more legible, but at the same time, it also is chaotic as fuck. Some really technical guitar work actually going on at 1 or 2 points on this album. And yeah, it is just really, really menacing, chaotic, but just more legible than the Revenge album, and that's why I prefer it. Coming in at number 10, we have an album that I really wish I could have spent more time with, but sadly I just didn't get around to giving it as many listens as it probably deserved, which is Leviathan Scar-Sighted. Leviathan, one of the most seminal acts in US black metal, a fantastic, fantastic musician, really, really cool stuff. And I really dug the variety of influences on this album, everything from blackened death metal to almost sort of exploring that, to me it sounded like at least that sort of cavernous death metal sound that bands like Portal have been doing lately. And it was really cool to see Leviathan explore that a bit more, even though, you know, I'm sure that Leviathan was a huge influence to bands like Portal, but, you know, it's still really cool to hear that. Coming in at number 9, another album that I really, really wish I had spent more time with, but it's kind of a fucking beast of an album to get through. It is the new Swallow the Sun album, Songs from the North. It's a 3-part disc. It is crazy long. Yeah, it's really hard to approach this as one album. You kind of have to listen to it as each disc. But when you do, there's some really fantastic stuff on here. Some really, really beautiful, heavy as balls funeral doom. Some awesome acoustic material on here. There's just a lot to be found for anyone who's into beautiful, slow, atmospheric music. So Swallow the Sun, Songs from the North. Number 9. Coming in at number 8 is an album that I feel like should have gotten a lot more hype because it is fantastic. I'm talking about Sorcerer with In the Shadow of the Inverted Cross. Awesome, awesome epic doom metal in the style of like Candlemass, Atlantean Codex, Witchfinder General. Really awesome sound. They almost include like a deep purple sort of 70s rock vibe into it, which may throw some people off, but when you listen to it in context with the doom stuff going on here, it is fantastic. This is a great album. Check out the song Lake of the Lost Souls, and that is just an epic old school doom song, and that's fucking awesome. I don't know why this album didn't get more attention. Coming in at number 7, we have Horn with Feldpost. Horn, a one-man German black metal act. Really, really good stuff. I love the concept of this album. I love the melody. I love the approach to clean vocals, sort of a more raspy sort of approach to the cleans on this thing. And yeah, it's really fantastic. Loving all the clean vocals on here, the melodies, the overall concept of the album of being about German field messages and stuff. Just a really good cohesive journey of an album, and it's a fantastic black metal record. Coming in at number 6, technically this is a compilation, but most of the stuff on here you couldn't really hear before, so I'm still kind of including it in my top 10, top 15 list, so fuck you. Dwell, Vermin, and Ashes. Really, really fantastic stuff. Really, really mystical and occult death doom with some great vocals. Really beautiful acoustic guitar work at points. Not really beautiful though, just sort of, it adds to the mystic atmosphere of it. It's a really good album. And check out the song Vermin in My Arteries. So yeah, Dwell, Vermin and Ashes, my number 6. Coming in at number 5, my voice just cracked, so I'm going to drink a little water. Korpiklaani with Noita. Yeah, for me this is the happy medium that Korpiklaani has always needed between the fun party drinking songs and the really more austere sort of songs. This song's just fucking epic. Like, so many songs on here are just overwhelmingly soaring and epic, and they take all the energy of the fun drinking songs and all the sort of serious approach of songs like maybe like Sinka from the last album, and combine into just a perfect melting pot on this album, and it really just makes the album sound fucking epic. It's a fantastic folk metal album that all of you guys should hear. And moving on to the ties, I did have to put some ties in my list. So numbers 4, 3, and 1 are all tied. So yeah, sorry about that. Spoiler alert. Number 4, Bell Witch, Four Phantoms, and Ghost Bath's Moonlover. Bell Witch, Four Phantoms is a really, really beautiful funeral doom record. Bass and drums and vocals. And because they took that approach, it is just reverberating with low end. It is crushing. It is beautiful. I love the way the album's structured into the 4 songs, each representing a different element. If you're looking for long, heavy, immersive doom metal and you haven't heard Bell Witch, Four Phantoms, then you're doing something wrong, because this is a fantastic album. And sharing the number 4 spot with that is Ghost Bath's Moonlover. If you had asked me a few months ago, this probably would have been my album of the year. But just faded a little bit, but it's still very, very high on my list. It is some fantastic, depressive, suicidal black metal, but not really. It's more sort of like a post-black metal thing, like Death Heaven, with a bit of the depressive atmosphere at times. Just soaring riffs, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful harsh vocals, actually. There's no cleans on here, but the harshes are just fantastic. And people that don't like depressive, suicidal black metal vocals will still really enjoy the harsh vocals on here. It is really fantastic stuff. Coming in at number 3, 2 albums again. Antlers, A Gaze into the Abyss, and Obsequy, Aria of Vernal Tombs. Starting off with Antlers, this is an album I actually reviewed earlier in the year. You can go check that out. Actually, today the drummer from Antlers commented on that video, which is really fucking cool. But yeah, this is a really intense pagan black metal record. I mean, I guess if I was going to describe it, you would still say sort of atmospheric black metal, but it really is very hard-hitting and almost has like a punk sort of attitude about it. Like, it's not really a punk influence in any way, but it sort of has like a punk like approach in a way. But yeah, it's a really, really fantastic album. I enjoyed it immensely. Just, you know, this summer walking around in the woods listening to this, it was absolutely perfect. And overall, it's just a really beautiful atmospheric black metal record. It's something that, even though it comes out of Germany, like, if you told me that it came from like the Cascadian black metal scene, I would have totally believed you. It totally has that kind of sound. And sharing the number 3 spot is Obsequy, Aria of Vernal Tombs. An atmospheric black metal album that got quite a bit of hype this year, and I think it was deserved. It's a really fantastic album. Really, really beautiful stuff. I love the way that the medieval instrumentation shines through in here, and then the more melodic riffs. It's a great take on the new post-black metal thing without it being overbearingly emotional or anything like that. It's really good. Obsequy, Aria of Vernal Tombs, sharing the spot of number 3 with Antlers, A Gaze into the Abyss. Number 2, Visigoth, The Revenant King. Oh my god, this album is fucking awesome. Like, it's probably it's easily the most played album I have in my library. It's kind of different from the other albums on the list because it is a power metal record. It's an old school heavy metal record, and it is a fucking banger, dude. Like, this thing is awesome. There's so many amazing, catchy choruses on here. I know the lyrics to every single song on this album. Great vocals by Jake Ryan. Oh my god. I don't remember Jake Rogers. Jake Ryan is the older brother of a kid that I go to school with. No, Jake Rogers is his name, and he's the guy behind Galabrade. And he also does vocals on this album. And his vocals are just soaring and fucking epic. Really, really great solos. Check out the song Creature of Desire and Mammoth Rider. You'll understand that this is one of the most epic power metal albums of the year. It's fantastic. Oh yeah, that'll put hair on your chest. And my number 1 albums of the year. This is a tie. I have 2 on here. Maybe a bit of a cop-out, but you know what? I don't fucking care. They're both near 10 out of 10 albums for me. And they are... Well, I'll start with this one because it's slightly less good than the other one, even though they're still both amazing. But number 1B, we'll call it, is Ahab, Boats of the Glen Carrig. Ahab is my favorite band pretty much of all time. Funeral doom metal, oceanic themed, incredible stuff, and yeah, they have done it again. When I first heard this album, I actually was a little bit iffy on it because it was so different in approach. But as I listened to it more and more, it hit such a chord with me. It is incredible. I love the concept. They did it again. Amazing oceanic concept album. And yeah, if the other Ahab albums, which were all 10 out of 10 albums in my opinion, were about just being trapped and alone and lost at sea and the isolation of that, this album is like being lost in the weeds and deep down in the ocean and having no possible way to get out. It is very intense, very heavy, very emotive. Daniel's clean vocals have gotten 10 times better, which is saying something because on The Giant they were phenomenal. And yeah, another crushing album from Ahab. I love this one. And 1A, my slightly more equal than Ahab album of the year. Definitely a huge surprise for me, which may sound strange because it's coming from my favorite band, My Dying Bride, Feel the Misery, my #1 album of the year. My Dying Bride, I guess they're not my favorite band, but they released my favorite album of all time, which is Turn Loose the Swans, and that is a masterpiece, 10 out of 10. But they had become one of those bands in recent years that had just become, they're great bands, they release awesome albums, but they're never going to make an album as good as those ones. Kind of like Cannibal Corpse, if you can kind of think about it in that way. They're still making good albums today, they're still a great band, but they're never going to make an album that can touch, you know, Tomb of the Mutilated or The Wretched Spawn or anything like that. And so I was expecting this new My Dying Bride album to be great, but I wasn't expecting it to be the best album of the year, and it absolutely was. I mean, Jesus Christ, Aaron's clean vocals are even more depressing and just miserable and beautiful than ever. His low vocals are just as good as they were back in the day on the Trinity compilation, all the EPs on that, Angel in the Dark River, all those fucking albums. It's so fucking good. His vocals are amazing. The riffs, I mean, they're just the classic, amazing, destructive My Dying Bride riffs. So fucking intense. And so depressing and miserable. There's beautiful, clean parts on here. The violin is just absolutely perfect. It brings forth so much emotion out of these songs, and at the end of the day, I don't care how many fucking one-man depressive suicidal black metal bands come out singing about how they're drowning in razor blades and they want to die and just scream as loud as they can like pussies for vocals. My Dying Bride will always be the most depressing band ever. And Feel the Misery is my album of the year. It is absolutely beautiful. It is incredible. 10 out of 10 for that one. Alright, there's my year-end list. Let me know what you thought of my picks. Let me know some of your favorite albums in the comments down below. You can go ahead and leave a full list of all your shit that you liked this year if you'd like to do that. So, yeah, guys. Merry fucking Christmas, even though it's not even really that close to Christmas. And I will see you next time.